Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chattanooga Film Fest. My name is Sam. I'm with the festival here, and super excited to be hosting the virtual Q&A for Photo Negative. With us today, we have writer-director Jacob Perrett and lead actress Karlee Mayfield. Guys, thank y'all so much for being here. Super excited.
Yes, thank you for having us. We really appreciate it.
We're so excited.
Awesome. Y'all's movie, it kicks ass. It was such an interesting watch. Really, really unique. Wonderful story. So we're just going to go ahead and dive right into some of the questions here, talk to you both about. One of the things that interested me the most with this one was the visual language of the movie. It felt very purposeful and unique. The one highlight for me was definitely kind of like the infrared sequence that you had. That scene was so cool. I'd love to hear more about not only that sequence, but just the visual language of the movie as a whole, kind of what your thought process was in developing that.
Yeah, so I actually serve as a not only the director, but also like the cinematographer as well. So it's always visual language, visuals in general has always been sort of they go hand in hand. I think particularly with this film, because it is such a low budget, I wanted to give off the I didn't want people to watch it and feel the budget in it. So I put I shoot with a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K. I have an array of lenses and whatnot. We put what little budget we did have. A lot of it was directed towards the visuals to sort of I guess make it it is a low budget, but not make it feel like a low budget. And I think in terms of, it's funny that you mentioned, the importance of the photo negative sequence that originally wasn't going to be in the movie, and it wasn't in the script. It was sort of like we had a different sequence written there at the time, but that was one of the number of things where I like sort of looked at it in the script and what we had shot, and I'm like, this doesn't work anymore, so let's do something else. We had something planned that fell through. That photo negative sequence just sort of came out of the, I guess, not being able to do the other things that we wanted to do. But I'm glad that you liked it, because it was one of those things where we were watching it as well, and we're like, I'm glad that we did that, so.
Oh, I feel like that's how it always works. Like some of the best and coolest stuff in a movie is the stuff that you never even planned to do in the first place. And that's super cool. And, I will say, you see every single penny put towards this movie on that screen. It looks incredible from beginning to end. One question I do have, actually, Carl, I'd love to hear your take on this. I think the movie has a pretty unique relationship, or a pretty unique view on the relationship between an artist and the art, with Jen being a photographer and wanting to go through with that passion. But throughout the movie, it seems that the art of photography seems to harm her more than it does help her or inspire her. So I'm curious kind of what you think about the relationship between art and artists that the movie has.
Yeah, so in my own personal experience with like acting and being really passionate about that, there are ways that it has definitely like been a detriment to me, whether it be like comparing myself to others, or, just watching yourself can be really hard. And like that type of thing, I have found to be detrimental to like maybe my self-confidence and things like that. So I think for Jen, she wants this thing so badly, and it's to be a freelance photographer. And, I guess in comparison to artists in real life, like sometimes you get what you want, but it can come at a price as well. So I kind of think that those things go hand in hand, and I could really relate to her in that aspect.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, love that. Um, One other kind of element within the movie that I was really interested in, personally, as a queer person, were the queer elements that were at play within the film. Those were really interesting to me. And I felt, and I could be, and please tell me if I was wrong, but I felt that it was almost on deliberate that there was this conflict at the end with a queer couple wanting a child that in the eyes of a straight couple was theirs. And I'm curious kind of hearing y'all talk about that and just about the queer elements in general within the film.
Yeah, sure. So this film, yeah, like you mentioned, as well as Sigil, our previous movie, all sort of dealt with, or had characters in the LGBTQ plus community. And what's interesting is I don't personally identify as being a part of that community, but as someone who I feel like has always been perhaps misunderstood in one way or another, I've always deeply connected with people of that community. So yeah, I think in particular with this movie, again, it was one of those things where like I didn't know that particular dinner scene was going to culminate in them. I guess I'm trying not to spoil it. Proposing that question to her until it actually happened, and that was sort of. Yeah, I don't know, just a very profound thing, wanting that Jen wanting, what they had, but not being able to attain it is, it's kind of a scary thing. And it's, I don't know, it's just one of those things where it didn't necessarily, I don't know. It took a little bit for me to I guess I fully, I don't know, wrap my head around that. Karlee, I don't know if you want to expand on your approach to that or thoughts on it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, Sam, that you made that connection because I don't know that was like the original intention per se, but it did work out really well in the long run. Because when you do think about it, there are so many queer couples that want to adopt, and it's very difficult for them, whether it's more hoops they have to jump through, or this, that, or the other, or just, genuine bigotry and people not being okay with it, things like that. So it definitely brings a unique lens, and it kind of, it's nice to be able to kind of give, how do I want to say this? It's nice to like kind of support the community in that way, even though that wasn't our intention. We just wrote a queer character that wanted to be a mom. And I guess, we explored the struggles within that, and it just worked out well in that regard.
No, I thought that it was such a really cool element within the movie. And, it really was very empowering, being a queer person in the state of Tennessee, which is not exactly the friendliest state to queer people. It really was such an interesting dynamic and conflict within the movie. And it really just made it that much more interesting and posed that many more questions for me. And I'm sure for a lot of the other viewers of the film. So when it comes to indie filmmaking and low budget filmmaking, I feel like the normal challenges that you come across when making a movie are only exacerbated because, as you always need more money. And right. So I am curious, what were some of the challenges that you all had to tackle in the process of developing and creating the film, and kind of what was your order of operations in tackling those challenges?
Yeah, so for the longest time, we were doing a strictly crowdfunding. So we did Indiegogo in specific, and that I'll be honest, is not my favorite because you not only the little money that you do make, you have to allot like a certain percentage of that to go into, if the individual purchased a DVD or a shirt or whatever, like you have to make those products at the end of the day. So, even if you made your 10,000 goal, a certain percentage of that is, going towards merchandise. So then it turns out to be you only have $6,000, and it's just a rough, situation. But so Photo Negative actually started out like that, and I think the budget even back then was actually, I don't think I mentioned that. I'll be candid. Yeah, the budget for the film was $10,000, and I had asked for that on Indiegogo, but I think after like the 28 days or 30 days, whatever it was, we only made like $1,300. So I kind of scrapped the project for a while, but fortunately, I was able to meet an individual who liked my previous work and was, able to, fund the full 10. But that's just luck. Not everybody is lucky enough like that. And had that not happened, I don't know if the film would have got made, or at least if it did, it would have been like a lot different because, like I mentioned, it was a $10,000 goal. We did 1,300, I think. And, so that in and of itself, receiving the funding is one of the worst, or I guess the crowdfunding in general for me is one of the worst parts as well. But unfortunately, it's like you either do it or you don't make a movie, or, so, but yeah, this project was a little bit different in that I had, an executive producer and everything. So
going back real quick for this kind of last question into some of the themes within the movie. Another theme that I started to kind of pick up on was an overall theme of manipulation in the movie itself. You obviously have the manipulation that Arthur is using against Jen and his wife. And then even at the end, you start to see Jen's kind of turn that manipulation on Arthur. And I was wondering if you can kind of speak on that theme and what kind of went into that. And, Karlee, kind of what was it like making that switch from kind of going from manipulated to kind of getting that power back?
Yeah. Karlee, why don't you start?
Okay. First off, I want to start by saying that one of my favorite things to film was some of the, without spoiling anything, like the scenes where Arthur was really manipulating Jen, especially in like the first couple, like that first visit. Just because the energy was just really, you could just feel it in the air. It was heavy, it was uncomfortable, and it just, like, it felt like we were doing something right because you could feel that tension. But it's interesting that she kind of takes a turn, because it seems like the whole movie she's kind of not, like, she wants all these things, but she can't achieve them. She almost just seems like, not like, I wouldn't say a coward per se, but just kind of, go ahead and speak, honey.
Yeah, I always viewed it as, and it's fitting that you mentioned the photo negative scene, because prior to that scene, it seems like that first chunk of the movie is like a series of Jen being a victim and victimized over and over and over again. And then that pivotal photo negative scene, everything after, while some bad stuff does happen, our conscious, she sort of, I guess, decides, it's always been, in my mind at least, that the latter half of the film is when she decides to not be the victim anymore, or to take things into her own hands to get what she wants, which is, her partner, Lucy, the child, the family, the, stuff like that. And I didn't want to cut you off. Were you going to say anything else?
It's okay. I'm glad that you said what you said, because that kind of helped me organize my thoughts. I do feel like she stops feeling sorry for herself in a way, like she kind of just starts taking control of what she wants as opposed to just letting life happen to her and just like letting it push her further down. I think she kind of just reaches a breaking point where she's like, nope, I'm taking it back. So.
Mm-hmm. And another thing regarding, you sort of mentioned the topic of manipulation. I wrote this film, from the perspective of a starving artist and the I guess the lengths to which artists will go to achieve, their dreams. And sometimes it works out and it's all, rainbows and kittens and stuff like that. But a lot of the times it's really hard and really difficult. And I think when individuals are walking down that road and then are put into situations, difficult, tough situations where they have to make, perhaps, tough decisions, they're maybe more likely inclined to do so because they want what they want so bad.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, before y'all go, I do just want to ask really quick, what's next? Are there any kind of future projects that we can look forward to? Anything in development that we can maybe look forward to in the future?
Yeah, I do have a couple ideas in mind. I have one script written, but it's sort of kind of like I mentioned before, one of those things where funding, stuff like that, you don't know, is a producer going to come along? Am I going to have to crowdfund or self-fund or, but no, I do have something or a couple things in mind, but nothing is, I guess, set in stone quite yet. Yeah.
Great. Karlee, any projects that you've got coming up?
Not currently. I have kind of just been like in a building phase. I've done a lot of films with Jacob, obviously, because he's my husband. So I've been like working on like building my reel and like making a resume and like doing all the actory things that you need to do so you can start auditioning for other projects and things like that. Last year, I had the pleasure of being involved in like an immersive theater project in Erie, Pennsylvania called Tethered. And that was an absolute treasure. It was just such a joy. So just kind of working on building my resume right now. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, I think I can speak for everyone who's seen it that photo negative is going to fit very well in that resume. The movie, I can't talk enough about it. It's such a cool movie. Can't wait for everyone to watch it, and I can't wait for the discussions that come from it. Jacob, Karlee, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming on here and talking with us here. And to everyone out there, please go see Photo Negative. You will not regret it. And this is Sam from the Chattanooga Film Fest signing off.